What up, my devil? Sensei-tutum here with another video for you. So this is going to be one of my pre-market ponderations. I'm going to make this one public. Not sure if I've done that before. Maybe just maybe I'll start doing these semi-regularly and making them public. I've been doing them semi-regularly for the members. We'll see. We'll see if we'll see the reaction it gets. But basically what we're going to do is talk about what I'm thinking about the markets, where I've been at in the markets, sort of tell you how, get you on track with where I've been thinking and where I think that we're headed, and potential opportunity in the market this week. And then, of course, throughout the week, we're going to update that in the Discord and keep it rolling. So had a pretty profitable week last week into actually right now on Bitcoin, and we'll get to Bitcoin, but I want to start in the traditionals. So if you're not interested in the traditionals, you should be, but fast forward, I guess. All right, so showing the SPY chart here, and I trade this instrument. I usually chart this on the ES, the futures market, but I don't actually typically trade in the futures. I'll trade in either options or shares on the SPY. But I do like to chart on the ES just because it gives you more information. There's a lot of trading that happens. That's where the trades happen. But yeah, the SPY has a lot of action on it too, and that's where my action is. So I've been long biased from here, and I've been in a swing from here, and then I also took another smaller time frame, higher leverage trade from here. That is resolved for me at this point. When we were rejecting, basically at triple top, because these patterns, and I'll talk about it in a second, is depending on how they play out, and it's not an Elliott Wave pattern, it's certainly not a triangle as my Elliott Wave followers may think that it may represent. It certainly doesn't. This is a motive wave, and you see where the 4 is here, but that's sort of neither here nor there for the pattern that is shown, because it's not an Elliott Wave pattern. It's sort of just a I guess traditional TA people might call it a wedge. It's not ascending or descending. It's clearly parallel, right? It's perpendicular at the top line, but it's it's a pattern that you can trade, and if you get a read on it on your market, it can be quite reliable. But if you're wrong, usually when these push and consolidate and they break to one side, it's really hard, right? So it's really strong in the direction, and I didn't want to be leveraged long and be wrong on that. Not to mention I met my target. So, but I am swing long here, still continue to be, and this will I'll take profit if we consider if we break below this and close considerably. But I would like to have this for that swing, but we'll see. But I do actually think that there's another opportunity to reposition and re-go with my leverage position for a breakout of here. I need to analyze it a little bit more to see if I like it, because the ES doesn't look nearly like this, but it still feels the same to me. You see, I have the trend line there. I might need to see a little more. It's always consolidation, but I'm checking it out. I'm keeping my eye on it, but there's a few more things that are more interesting than doing anything beyond managing the swing on this one for me, and that is over here at the rut, potentially with a potential trade setting up here. So if we go out to the daily, members, if you want to go search the Discord for my last macro update, it was earlier this year. It was like January. I was going to update it today. I don't update the rut very often. It's not my favorite thing to trade, but I'm looking to get into it more. It's nice volatility, and potentially take a trade this week on it. We'll see. But I was going to update it, but the update from January is still pretty perfect. So I would say that we are working on finishing green 3. If you members go back and check that, you can search from me and then rut, you'll find it. Probably have to be educational. I doubt I would have shared that to the socials, just because for those of you who don't know, socials get a great deal here. They get a lot of stuff from us, including just about every single video. Like these pre-market ponderations that aren't public, they get, but they don't get. They only get about a third of the charts, if not a little less. And I try to do the ones that I think would be, hit a bigger audience. So it's certainly not going to be the Russell Index. Anyway, yeah. So if you want to go look at that educational members, you can check that out. But the trade that I'm potentially eyeing is, so I don't do this at home kind of thing, right? Unless you're skilled at picking pivots. I don't want you playing things this way. I would rather you be less, what did I say? Pigs get slaughtered. I don't remember the rest of the saying, but don't be a pig. I'm just usually pretty decent at picking these pivots, and when you get like a high quality confluence area with, an exhausting trend to the downside, if I could get this, I would probably take it, depending on the, let's call it the angle of approach of price. So it's going to be very reliant upon what this looks like getting into the target area, but that's a 15 to 1. Little aggressive, but I think I can pick pivots like this. So I usually would not recommend that. I would recommend others to do something like this, and that's almost a 5 to 1. So it's still pretty damn good, but I would probably rather potentially target this thing, see how the angle of approach goes, and then if that doesn't work out, reassess down here. So of course I'll be updating this. This might even be missed before market opens. It's Sunday morning, so it's only, this could happen, before open in the morning. And like I said, I don't typically trade on the futures, so I would miss that. And I wouldn't really want to do anything until open anyway with this. So yeah, could even miss this. Doubt it, but we'll be updating it. You gotta keep up in the Discord. But that's interesting to me on the indexes as far as trades go. But with the idea that there's still unresolved upside on the big boys, the Qs and the S&P, I think that there's opportunity in some individual stocks. This is one that we've talked about in some trade hunts that may have even been public, so I don't mind announcing it here. And I was updating you guys in Discord, at least on the educational side, and I was telling you that I liked it better down right in here. I was posting like gave you the William Wallace hold. We're getting close, and I actually hit the charge on Friday, and I did dip my toe into this because even though this is pretty risky with the Europe COVID shutdowns and bad negative Europe COVID news, Disney's very susceptible to that. This is a reopening play, not a pandemic play, right? Of course, they do have the streaming service and all that now, which is of course excellent, and a big revenue generation for them, but they're still huge company that is quite reliant on opening plays, on opening with their parks and cruise ships and all of those things. But I did dip my toe, and probably took about a third of a position that I'd like to have, in anticipation that we could potentially come back, come down into the real meat of this. Although, it's been showing signs. It was showing signs, so dip my toe. Don't want to miss out in case it just rips. But yeah, I'm. This is another one where playing it kind of close. Basically playing a small area for the potential gain, right? Because we're really targeting inside here, right? This is sort of the sort of like it's sort of a golden corner pocket, right? It's a golden corner pocket. It's the Trade Devils marquee play, right? So the risk to reward on these is quite good. So even if we just take the measured move, long position, let's just say right where we're at, roughly there. Might be a tad off, but and this is probably going to be more room than I even play with it, but so it's 13 to 1. So If you risk $100, you stand to gain $1,300. If you risk $1,000, et cetera, et cetera. So, and this is, you know, this is not hard. You know, this is not uncommon and hard to do. This is something that I'm doing all the time, and you'll see them if you're in the member in the Discord. You'll see that I pick these pivots all the time. Did several times this past week, right? And that's just the ones that I share. So you can get there. You know, I don't necessarily recommend it early on. I recommend being more forgiving with yourself. But if you can, you know, keep an eye on people that can pick the pivots and sort of learn the ways and truncate your experience to where you can reliably pick them, then you can start to take plays like this. Because if you're not good at picking the pivots, you know, you get your 15 to 1, your 20 to 1, you're like, oh man, this is, you know, such great. And then of course, if you position poorly, then you just blow your account up, which is honestly what happens a lot of the time. But really, if you just play this way and you suck at TA, no offense, or at least at that, you know, precision at TA, then you're just going to get chopped up and lose all your money. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. So you either over leverage for these kind of plays and blow yourself up quick, or you just get death by 1,000 paper cuts. But this is a good one. This is a good one setting up potentially, and of course it can go against us, and we are prepared for that. If it does, it's going to suck. But if it does, that means that wedge or whatever I was showing earlier broke to the other side on the ES. Anyway, I would think anyway. But yeah, so I like that. This is Nvidia is one that I've been showing that I wanted to get in down here, and I just fucked it up and missed it, man. But it's starting to show some. It's showing weakness. It's kind of overdone. You know, it's up 15% in a short period of time. It's been on news, and usually those like news-driven sugar rush things are, I don't know. It feels like it's getting tired. I need it to break. I need to break with a dilly to the upside to break this tiredness of this trend. It needs to wake back up to get to target, and then once it gets to target, we'll see. But I don't know. I'm not looking along that right now. Potentially there could be some conditions that would, you know, make it a short. Speaking of things that could potentially get longed or shorted, this is a name I'm super interested in. Rivian, the electric car company, just IPO a couple weeks ago. If you trade stocks, you've been trading this. We got a potential here. It looks like a 3-wave finish, but then this consolidation looks corrective to the quote unquote upside, even though it's straight sideways. So this could be a potential short play into this area. And then anywhere between like 100 and 120 there. You know, again, Amazon's 20% over this thing. I'm looking to potentially load some bags on this, but I want to trade this thing. It's nice and volatile. So thus far, the volatile move's been to the downside. I'm thinking that we could potentially get one. You know, here's the thing. So look at the POC. So let all my tricks out of the bag. There's basically a lot of times you might see, and don't be confused, me looking at this as a juicy long because of the consolidation under resistance, but that's basically not the case in this scenario. It's more of a juicy short, and yeah, I won't say too much more on that. This is going out to the public. Don't want to give you everything for free. Anyway, yeah, looking to potentially short this. Just into this region, potentially, and then load up some bags on this sucker. Cool cars. All right, let's see. Is that it for the stonks? Yeah, let's jump over to. I'll just jump over to Bitcoin. You know, the alt. We'll look at ETH real quick. Chart kind of speaks for itself. So, was expecting this to be 5-wave down, right? Based on the overall count. But we could get a sneaky 3-wave in here, right? And really, actually, one of the main reasons we were expecting a 5-wave is basically the characteristics of this wave down, right? But it's one of those tough ones, right? It could be, you know, until it finishes until we get this, we don't have it, basically, right? There's so many people that always wait for that last leg on an impulse and never get it because it was a zigzag, right? And you get this. Now, what do we have is the information. The most recent information is a quite impulsive move off the low. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a quite impulsive move off the low that could potentially be a funky zigzag. And this is the same with Bitcoin, so we have to be careful, and we'll get over and talk about that. Potentially the same, a funky zigzag. And if it were to be a funky zigzag, I would imagine it's going to do something like this. Call that 3, so I'm going to draw as 3, but then do 3 to this side, and then like something like, I don't know, something like that. Some sort of sideways. It's just based already. It's already past the 50% marker. I have to feel like the leader in the clubhouse is that the low is in here. The other alts don't look as good, so I'm not as interested in them from a trading perspective. This could already be your A, B, C, down to here. So this could be quite interesting. Something like this. Could be quite interesting. Something like that. Conservative targets are my friend. And this would be, you could call this a 1 or A, B or 2, 3 or C is the long play. And yes, I understand what the high probability wave relationships are. If you're one of the ones that are watching what I'm doing and saying, that looks weird, I wouldn't expect that. Experience, boys. We'll find out. We'll see how it plays out. This is, you know, people always ask me for targets and things like that. I just don't ever really give them. I think that's kind of stupid, to be honest. You know, depending on the context, right? Trade targets are one thing. Absolute targets are another. Anyway. So don't take too much into this, because this is, you know, sort of something I have in mind that if it plays out, I want to see it go this way. But, you know, depending on something that happens here, this whole roadmap could change. So you really got to pay attention, be a member if you really want to be up to date on these things, on what I'm thinking. But this could be a potential nice play here. And I haven't even talked about any of the trades we've been taking, but we're on Bitcoin. We'll talk about a couple. So again, sort of the idea. Problem with this. So I think this is the leader in the clubhouse right now, right? The problem with this is, and there's, every count has issues always, right? And as far as Bitcoin goes, you know, basically, I'll break it down for you in a second. But the problem with this count is that, you know, it does violate guidelines, and that the temporary channel is a minimum price expectation for a wave 4 on magnitude. But we had a giant wave 2 that's also sideways style, which is uncharacteristic of a wave 2. But it is pretty characteristic of a wave B. So, you know, this is not that egregious for a Bitcoin count. But what does that mean? That we need to be concerned about, worried, you know, of if we're long bias, right? If we're taking long trades, which we've been doing since here. And those have all made it to the Discord, as far as, and even some of them to the decent amount. I think all the Bitcoin trades have made it to the socials, I believe. I don't remember, but I believe they have all of them. How many months did you guys pay for this week? Or years, I should say. Anyway, what we're going to be cautious of is that something like this. One, two, again, 3, 4, 5, but I would think at this point it would play out something like this. Again, like I already showed on ETH. I mean, not much difference. And remember, it's the minimum price expectation for the temporary channel boundary, so you do often expect to break it. But something like that would be pretty solid as well. And then again, of course, on the larger degree, you got to watch out that we haven't finished a giant zigzag to the upside, which I think I've talked about in public videos, so does it matter? And I will do so here anyway. And maybe I'll talk more specifically about it, but you want to make sure it's not a giant zigzag to the upside if you're long biased, because at that point, you know, down here, and I've talked about that a ton. So, but this would be your sort of do or die for the bullish count, the more bullish count right at that level. So, in any event, let's get down on the low. So I've been long bias all the way from here, whether we were, you know, because I was hoping that this would break out further and be a better 4, but then when it broke to the downside, missed all of this. But then I knew that we should have a substantial move to the upside, whether it be corrective or whether it be corrective to the upside or not. It just knew it would be substantial and certainly tradable at my typical trading degree these days, which is 2 to 5 minutes. So I think we called this pivot perfectly, traded to this guy. I don't remember all the ones that we traded. I think we traded this one. I don't know if that one made it to the Discord or not. We certainly traded this one yesterday. And now we're trading this currently. So I've had like 4 or 5 winners back to back to back to back to back. I don't know if I posted them all. Let me look over here. I'm not sure. Anyway, I don't want to do it now, but we're wrong again. With the potential, like I said, that this very well could be a finished zigzag. Not really what you expect to see in a typical zigzag, so I feel pretty decent about it, and I'm long and green again. Just making money on Bitcoin on the weekend without even, you know, watching that closely. So basically what we're going to be doing is, our entry was down here at 50. What we're going to be doing is waiting to see if we break this boundary significantly, at which point we'll get out, probably around break even, if that were to happen. Otherwise, we're waiting to see if it runs up here. We'll just see how it goes. But we're long and strong again. And then we're just going to play this wave by wave and see what it does. And we'll be updating in the Discord all week long. So, yeah. I think that's pretty good. Again, you know, ETH kind of same, showed you the trade potential on that. A lot of the other alts I'm looking at, you know, there was a Solera. And I just, you know, it's kind of like a lot like Bitcoin and ETH, you know. It's a little funky in here. I feel like this is going to continue to the upside as well, but, you know, I'd like to see it finish out a true impulse here to the upside. So, I don't know. Now at this point, maybe it gets extended. Oops. I'll just finish that there. Ignore this last little guy. Being lazy. I don't know. Based on this, if this is the one of the 5, but this is kind of ugly. Maybe we zigzag or something. I don't really know. But if we finish a clean 5 off this, then I'm looking to swing long off the low. And I say swing long, it's 15-minute chart. You know, if I'm normally trading 5 minutes to 2 minutes, that's a swing that could last for, you know, a few weeks potentially. But nothing screaming right now. Really digging the Bitcoin chart. And, you know, I'll trade, let's just say, what on other charts may look like less than ideal setups for me. On, if you guys know, I harp on like quality setups, but you know, I'm just so in tune to this chart because I trade this and like the SPY more than anything. So, you know, things like this are just, you know, I might potentially on another chart not be looking along here because of implications. But in this case, I will, just because. So, let's see. Oh, I did want to talk about Amazon quickly. If anybody cares about Amazon, we long called from here for a breakout to the upside. Made that, as I said, this was leftover, and if you were closed below, that it would have been short to there. What do I think? And this is one of the reasons why, you know, after such zoom out, this is so heavy on the Qs. I think that this is going to carry it forward. It's one of the reasons why I say like it's getting toppy, but I'd like to see this continue on to the upside, all-time high, and make some real moves here soon. Just based on all of this sideways consolidation. This is I believe this to be more reaccumulation than distribution. So maybe it comes now. What do we do on the lower degree? You know, now that we made that target, we could potentially have a finished impulse of some sort to this level. So we might come all the way back down and test this area of, you know, high consolidation again, maybe even the green box, right? So I think if that were to happen, that could help reset the oscillators on the rut as well. I'm sorry, on NQ as well, to break out of that look and get a nice pullback. So that could happen here, although we've already been pulling back. That's looking like a zigzag that could be finishing up here. I don't know. It's not the prettiest. I want to see how this looks on the open, but there could be some decent trades on this week. I know some of you trade this thing all day long. It's not really my favorite. It doesn't speak to me like, you know, some of the others. To trade on low degree and things like that. But this looks like it could be a finishing up zigzag. So I don't know. This is going to be a big dictator of what happens this week. So we got to see what happens. It's been quite bullish. And of late, when it does something like this, then it sort of has an equal or opposite reaction the other direction. How long are we at here? 27 minutes. It's time to finish up here, boys. All right, yeah. Just this is going to be a big dictator of what happens this week. If this totally shits the bed, that could change everything that I said on everything, literally. So we'll be keeping an eye on that one. Close eye on that one. All right, boys. That's it for the pre-market ponderations. This is going to go out to the public. Toot out.